let's sort of go a little further on the topic of fat loss, and if you could sort of focusing more on obviously on the supplementation aspect of it. Let's assume I think we can get into a whole other talk on training programs and nutrition plans for this stuff, but let's assume someone's got that down pat. So looking at supplementation, what would you recommend for a guy that's he's been training, let's say, already pretty well, he's got his diet down pretty well, pretty good, and he's got a fair bit of muscle on him, but he's got that gut he wants to get rid of, but he's really worried about losing lean tissue along the way. What can he do to help target, like to help reduce body fat, whether it's by increasing metabolism or by nutrient partitioning or by however other methods that would be effective while sparing lean tissue?
Yeah, of course, you're right. We could get into a whole talk about this. No matter how much I believe in SD Pharmaceuticals and PharmaFreak and and how much they've helped me to get to where I'm at, I will always say, and even the owners and the founders will say the same thing. Diet is primary.
Yeah.
You have to get your diet in place and check and clean up your diet if you want to clean up your body.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing. Second thing is I would say second would be of course training. You want to increase your cardio, but for your average person trying to lose weight, I think definitely clean up your diet. Add some sort of an increased cardio element, whether it's exploring with a high intensity training or whether it's steady state.
Yeah.
But never take out weights. Always do strength training.
Absolutely,
no matter what.
That's a good point. A lot of people will say, well, I'm done my bulking phase, I'm going to focus on cardio, and they'll cut back on their strength training, or they'll think, I have to go lighter with my weights now and just do lots of reps because I'm cutting, and then they become catabolic. They'll start losing all that hard-earned lean tissue. So yeah, still keep training hard and heavy with your weights. Just look at cutting the starchy carbs, caloric deficit, and your cardio.
Yep.
So once they got that in place, what sort of supplements would you look at?
So then, that's where it opens up. And typically, even when I have good friends of mine and family, I always tell them, get those two in place first. And they will get results. They will. And if they come to me a few weeks later, 6 weeks later, and say, I got no results, I know that they did not change anything about their diet or their training, or they did and it wasn't sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
So when something like this happens, I typically want to make sure that they've got this in place. Now, how do I know that they got it in place? Well, this is how I know. I usually give some tips on cleaning up your diet and your training, or they read their own and find what works for them. They come back to me about 10 weeks later, and they say, Paul, wow. And I look at them, wow, you got some results, man. What have you been doing? And you're right. I did some reading, and this is what's working for me, and this is how I'm training. But here's the issue. This is why I'm coming to you. And then I usually cut them off and say, let me guess, you've plateaued. Yeah, I plateaued. I mean, I'm not changing anymore. I look the same, and I'm so happy with the results I got. But how do I get more? How do I keep the ball rolling? Well, at that point, that's really when supplementation comes in.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think, even when I used to work at the nutrition store, I'd see these kids come in, sometimes kids, first-year university students coming in, and they're picking up a creatine and a testosterone booster and the highest end protein you can find on the market. And they pick up like 6 or 7 products. They would drop a whole bunch of their student loan money, and then they don't know what's working, what's not. Their diet's not in place. Their training's not good. It's a waste of money.
And sometimes they're just starting training, and they're like, I got to get all this before I even start working out. It's like, dude,
that's just it.
Hit the gym a little bit, see where your calories need to be at, get your diet in place, then come and see how can I take it to the next level.
You got it. I mean, I used to coach soccer, and I would see some of these little kids. I was coaching the 8-year-olds, and I'd see 8-year-olds come in with like the brand new shoes that I can't even afford, and they're bringing them onto the pitch, and they're 8 years old.
Yeah.
And it's the same concept. It's you don't have to go to an elite supplementation schedule when you haven't even you haven't even scratched the surface of what's the most important, which is your diet, your training. So for those people that are doing it properly and they do come to me and they have plateaued, then I'm very open to supplementation. Those are the people I love to talk to, because they're the people that know the hard work it takes in the gym, and they can see the difference when they go on to a supplement. They try a supplement, they say, holy crap, I've been doing the same workout and diet for 8 weeks. I got results. I plateaued for the last 4. I added this product. It's been 2 weeks, and boom, I dropped another 5 pounds, or I put on another 2 pounds of lean muscle. Those things are why I do what I do and why I love what I do. So there are a few. I'm actually going to share a couple with you, if that's cool.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to do a screen share, and I'm going to bring you to the SD Pharmaceuticals page. And I'm going to talk about a couple things first. I'm going to talk about a few. I'm going to talk about the categories that we have on the website. I'm looking at it now. Again, I'm going to show the viewers, but there's a fat loss category. There's a hormonal support category, and then there's a muscle growth and strength category as well. Now, all of these categories have different products in there, and people might look at that and they might feel overwhelmed. I don't know what I got to do here. I don't want to take a supplement. It's actually really, really easy to understand when you look at it, and I'm going to explain a little bit right now. So,
all right, cool.
Share here.
Yeah, it's up.
All right. Okay, good, perfect. So we're looking at the SD Pharmaceuticals page here, and if you look here where my cursor is here, where it says fat loss and energy on the left, you'll see a few products listed there. You'll see Raspberry Ketone 200, you'll see Green Coffee Bean, you'll see Garcinia Cambogia 500, and you'll see Dendrobium 600. Now, all of these products are pharmaceutical grade, first off. They're clinically proven, and they're in the clinically proven dosages here on the website. We only offer clinically proven dosages. So with the Raspberry Ketone, I mean, they all have different properties. Raspberry Ketone, for example, helps to burn fat, but it does so through a non-stimulant way. So it's not speeding up your heart rate like caffeine would do. It's not making you sweat suddenly on spot so that you're embarrassed when you're out in public. It's not making you feel all clammy and nervous. Nothing like that. Essentially, I mean, and reading right from here, fats are mostly stored in the body as triglycerides, and so when triglycerides are broken down into diglycerides, they form free fatty acids and glycerol. Well, the breakdown of these triglycerides is rate limiting. It's a rate limiting step in fat burn. So what you want to do in this case is have a product that's going to actually have an effect on the body where it'll actually push your fat cells to split apart more readily without having your body in this sort of hyped up state. This does so at the cellular level. So the nice thing about Raspberry Ketone is people at first that were supplementing with it didn't even know how it worked. Even scientists didn't really know how it worked. They were giving it to rats and they were like, well, these guys are losing fat. We don't know how. Because they realized that their heart rate wasn't increasing. Nothing like this was happening. So what they found after studies upon studies upon studies, and eventually made it onto the Dr. Oz show. I mean, he talked about it and exploded Raspberry Ketones. Yeah. But we knew about it long before Dr. Oz. In fact, Raspberry Ketones was one of the key ingredients, and is one of the key ingredients in Rip Freak, and for the Pharma Freak product, and that was long before Dr. Oz talked about it. Mm-hmm. The studies were all out there. But moving on to Green Coffee Bean. Green Coffee Bean works in a different way. It still doesn't get you all hyped up. It's not caffeine based. Even though people see a coffee bean, they think there's caffeine. There's actually less than a milligram of caffeine per serving. So there is no caffeine in the green coffee bean. So how does it work? Well, green coffee bean contains chlorogenic acid, and it has actual modulating effects on glucose metabolism in the body, and it actually helps to inhibit fat accumulation. So whereas Raspberry Ketone is working for your body to lose fat, the green coffee bean is actually stopping your body from making fat or accumulating fat. So So while one's burning, the other one's stopping it from accumulating. And then there's Garcinia cambogia here, moving along. Garcinia cambogia uses hydroxycitric acid as a main component, and it has a dual effect. First, it helps support serotonin levels in the brain, and serotonin levels in the brain can help reduce appetite. And the second thing that it does is it actually impacts an enzyme in the body that's responsible for turning carbohydrates into fat. So it actually limits this action. So again, there's less fat accumulation in the body. And as a nice side effect, you don't crave complex carbohydrates or carbohydrates in general as much. Helps reduce hunger, not get rid of hunger, which is something I'm going to touch upon in a second. And it also helps so that fat doesn't accumulate in the body. So you look at these things and you say, okay, raspberry ketone is different than green coffee bean, which is different than Garcinia cambogia. So which one do I take? Because they're all great for fat loss. Well, here's the thing. You want to take one that best suits whatever your needs are. So if you're a person that's having a lot of carbohydrate cravings, Garcinia cambogia might be the best for you. Mm-hmm. If you're the kind of person that just can't burn those extra few pounds, raspberry ketone might be for you. But here's the thing. If you want the best, the most comprehensive way to attack your fat loss, then you would want to attack it from every angle. So you'd want to stack these, and stacking essentially just means taking them all at the same time. Not at the same time in one dose, but following the label properly on each of those products. So it would be picking up a raspberry ketone, a green coffee bean, and a Garcinia cambogia, and taking them in conjunction together. That way, not only are you not accumulating fat, you're also burning fat, and on top of that, you are supporting healthy serotonin levels so you don't have cravings. And then you add that major supplementation component to a training regimen that's got an increased cardio component, and you add that to a diet that is a very clean diet, a lot of vegetables, a lot of greens, a lot of protein. You add all that together, and then boom, those are the results you've been looking for. And it's not easy. It requires a little bit of money on supplements. It requires time in the gym. It requires effort to stay away from the easy-to-grab chips and chocolate bars. But all that sacrifice that you make that is different than the lifestyle you used to have is what's going to give you those results that you want and you thought you couldn't achieve. They are achievable. You have to find and reach out for those results, and that's what we do here with SD Pharmaceuticals. We really try to offer the best ingredients at the proven dosages to help people that are wanting to help themselves.